Hi everyone, it's me, Marcy. I'm here today with another budget-friendly meal that you can cook for your family. That's a little more fresh and a little healthier than something that you might get out of a box or pre-prepared somewhere. What we're going to make today is pork chops with apple and onion compote, and we're going to put that over a bed of jicama puree. So what we're going to start with is we're going to get our pan nice and hot with a little bit of oil. This is olive oil because it's what I have. Normally I prefer to cook with grapeseed oil because while that's also a healthy fat like olive oil, it doesn't leave that little bit of a taste when you cook with it like olive oil does. But when you've got a hungry family to feed and this is all you have in the house, you go with it. So we're going to get our pan lit and getting hot. We put a little bit of salt, a little bit of fresh ground pepper on our pork chops. I've only got 3 because there's only 3 of us in the family and we don't want to waste food. But you can usually get about 4-ounce pork chops to a pound. 4 ounces is the standard serving size for proteins. So we're staying well within that. We're going to get our pork chops in our nice hot pan. I did cheat a little bit. I did have my pan preheated just a little bit before we started filming. Now that I got the pork chops in there, I'm going to turn the heat down. Get my dirty plate out of the way. And I'm going to leave those cook for just a minute because I don't want to break the sear. And while I'm waiting for that, you're going to want about a half an apple per serving. So 2 apples and our onion. You keep an eye on those, make sure they don't get too brown on me. And to cut our apple, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a nice sharp knife, cut off one side, and just go right around the core, cutting off the sides. Just like that. That in our little trash receptacle. We're going to take and cut our apple in nice thin slices. There we go. Fixed it. This is a gala apple. I prefer those because they've got a little bit of tartness, a little bit of sweetness to it. But you can use whatever kind of apple you like. It's better to leave the skin on, not only for color, but also because you get a little bit more of the vitamin and fiber content when you eat the skin. Here's apple number 1, apple number 2, bam, right down the sides. If you get a little bit of the seed pocket in there, you can always cut it off. When you do your slices, like I got a little bit of it on here. Oopsie, from the chicken broth. Have to get a little bit more. Take the knife, put that little seed puff right out into the trash receptacle. And again, I apologize, my knife skills are not fancy. They're not anything to be in awe of. Try to keep my fingers out of the way so I don't get cut. Alright, looks like this pork chop is just about ready to flip. Nope, I could use another minute or so. Turn the heat back up. While we're waiting on that, we're going to cut our onion, just like we did last week when we did the chicken fajitas. Cut off the top. Peel out the outer layer or 2, whatever we need. I think my camera person over there is getting a little tired. We're going to leave the root end intact. Cut the onion in half. And you just cut slices down the lengthwise of the onion. So the slices will be about the same size and shape as our apples. About the same thickness too. Alright, I think these are good to flip now. Yeah, there we go. Got a nice pretty brown sear on those. We finish cutting our onion. And then again, we're just going to cut the root end right off, and then we've got our nice slices there all together. Pack number 2. Cut off the end. And there's our onion, all nice and sliced up. So, give me just 1 second. I'm going to get just a little bit more chicken breast while that pork chop continues to cook. I'm going to have about a 1/4 cup of chicken broth, and I'll show you what that's for in a second. I'm back. So, now unfortunately, I only have 1 pan to cook with. Normally I would leave the pork chops in the pan and stick them in the oven to finish cooking. But since I don't have another pan and I need that to cook the compote, I'm going to transfer the pork chops into a baking dish and stick those in a 350-degree oven to finish cooking while we do the compote. Give my pan a quick wipe out. We don't want to clean it up too much because we do want a little bit of that meaty flavor to come forward. Add a little bit more oil to our pan. Get it hot again. And we're going to start by browning our onions. Just mildly browning them. We don't want to get them too brown or burned. We're going to take our nice little slices that we made and break them up a little bit as we put them into the pan. Oops. I always seem to have something fly away on me when I'm cooking. We're just going to let those onions get tender and translucent. Just brown just a little bit on the edges before we add our apples. Might be just a little high on that. There we go. That's better. Once your onions are getting translucent, which means they look a little clearer than they do raw, we'll add our apples. Yes, I promise I did wash my hands before. Clean towel here to dry my fingers off. We're just going to cook the onions and the apples together for just a couple of minutes. We'll let the apples get a little bit tender, but we don't want them to get too soft. Unless you like mushy apples, and you cook them as long as you like. Pork chops and applesauce is a classic flavor combination. So this is kind of a variation on that. So you cook it how you and your family like it. The other thing about when you're cooking is food can't tell time. It's done when it's done. So if your recipe, or if I say, you know, hey, let's cook these for 2 minutes, and at the end of 2 minutes they're not ready yet, or at 1 minute you're like, hey, these are getting really soft, then you cut them off when you need to. These are, I can feel, are starting to get a little bit soft now. So we're going to take about a 1/4 cup of chicken broth, use that on our pan. If you're a family that happens to have white wine around, you can use that to deglaze your pan. So we just like to use a little bit of chicken broth. Turn down our heat a little bit more to about medium. Add a little bit of salt. Some fresh ground pepper. And then in here I have about a 1/2 teaspoon each of turmeric and nutmeg. You could certainly use one or the other, not both. You could use cinnamon if you prefer. My older daughter Emily and I both happen to have some autoimmune issues, so turmeric is good for helping with as an anti-inflammatory, so it helps us out, so I like to include it in our cooking whenever we can. Fun side effect, it turns everything yellow, so it's kind of cool. So we're going to let those saute together for a couple of minutes, let that sauce reduce down. I'm going to put in about a 1/2 stick of butter here. Let that melt in to make a nice little sauce. I made a good mess with that chicken broth. Oh boy. It smells so good. Someday they'll invent cameras that convey smell too, and then that'll take the cooking world to a whole new level, I swear. But once the butter melts, that'll help thicken up our sauce a little bit. Try to toss those apples and the onions and the melted butter and the chicken broth. Butter's also going to add a little bit of that rich mouthfeel and flavor to the sauce too, of course, as well as helping thicken it up. Alright. So turn that off. Let's get our pork chop out. Chops. Our jicama puree ahead of time because just like mashed potatoes, it's a little bit of a process. It takes a while to do, but so we've got our mashed jicama here, our jicama puree. Put that in the middle of the plate. Get our pork chop here. Put it on top of our jicama puree. Oh, I forgot to get a big scoop for our compote. Top it off with a little bit of our apple and onion compote. If you've got a little bit of fresh parsley or mint or something like that that you can chop up and sprinkle on the top, that's good. If it's not in the budget or you just don't happen to have it around, that's okay too. We're going to get a little bit of this sauce. Just the sauce, not the apples. Put that around our puree. little thicker than you know, if I play it a little bit. There you are. Give it a try. Let me know what you think, and subscribe if you can. Give us a like at least, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.